Okay, welcome to video number 7 in the Honors Pre-Calculus Summer Assignment Tutorial Series. This video is going to address exponential types of expressions where there's an exponent, maybe a rational exponent, a fraction, or sometimes not a fractional exponent. So we're going to talk about simplifying these two that we have on the screen now. They're not in your packet, but they're similar to 45 and 46, so if you can do these and follow along, you should be fine. And then we'll do one more type, which is a little more complex. Alright, so let's simplify this one. The key point to notice about this problem is that this exponent, 2/3, belongs to the m, but does not belong to the 4. The 4 has its own exponent, if you will, and it's a 1. So we can just say the 4 is unaffected by the exponent. And when it comes to exponents that are rational or fractional, like trees, the roots are on the bottom. So this 3 is a cube root. That 3 on the bottom of that fraction represents a cube root, and the 2 just represents an exponent of 2. So we can restate this in radical form. And that's the idea here, is to put this into radical form. Perhaps we should say that restate or rewrite in radical form. That's a better description of what we're doing. So this becomes the radical, and so that m goes under a cube root, and it becomes squared, so we can tuck that squared in here, and we're done. Another way to handle this would be to, again, the 4 is unchanged by that exponent. We could put our square outside the radical. Either way is okay. All right, let's go over to the second one here. Now, because of these parentheses, the 4 and the x squared are affected by the 3/2 exponent. Okay, and like trees, rational exponents have their roots on the bottom. So this is the square root involved in this thing. All right, so the whole thing goes under a square root. And the whole thing gets cubed, so we could say 4x squared cubed. This 3 represents our third exponent, and the square root is the denominator of the exponent. Let's do a little simplification here. Moving the 3, that's 4 to the third power. 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. And x squared to the third power. Remember, your power of a power rule says you multiply those exponents. X to the 6th power. And now we can break up this thing, sort of think about this 64 as 8 times 8, and x to the 6th as x cubed times x cubed. And so we can simplify the entire thing, taking the square root. And that's going to be your answer there. All right, so we're on to this next problem, which is a simplification problem. And you'll notice it has many different factors. So it's basically this term, which includes a 3, an x, and a y factor, multiplied times a -2, an x, and y factors. So to handle this, let's just go ahead and do this multiplication right here. Do that multiplication first. Multiplying our numbers, we have -6. Multiplying our x factors means we can just write x and then add the exponents. So I see -2 and I see 1/2. -2 and plus 1/2. So that would be -4/2 plus 1/2. Looks like -3/2 is our exponent. -3/2. Okay. Then the y factors, y, and I have 2/3 plus 1/3, 3/3, or just 1. Okay? Now, when we are simplifying these kinds of expressions, we don't want any negative exponents. So let's handle that. If I have a negative exponent in the top of I can move that to a denominator position and make the exponent positive. This y, however, stays up top. It has a positive exponent of 1. Okay, and then the second thing is we don't want to have any rational or fractional exponents in the denominator, because that's the equivalent of having a square root in the denominator. All right, so the way we're going to handle that is we're going to multiply top and bottom by x to the, and here what we're looking for is we're going to add whatever we have to this to make it the nearest whole number. And that would be 1/2, wouldn't it? So we're multiplying times x to the 1/2 power. When we multiply, we're going to add those exponents, and we're going to get 4/2. So here we have on the top, we have -6 y x to the 1/2 power over on the bottom x to the 4/2 or squared. And that's our answer. Another way that we could express this numerator also equal to -6 y times the square root of x over x squared. And so this is in radical form or in exponential form. Either way would be acceptable. Okay, so your turn now. Do problems 45 to 48, and good luck.